May 16, 2167. And yeah, humanity lost. Not struggling lost. Not on the ropes lost. Completely, utterly, nothing left to save lost. The demon race didn't just win the war. They erased every last trace of human civilization. Cities that once held millions? Smoke. Rubble. The kind of destruction that makes you wonder if humans were ever really a threat to begin with. And standing in the middle of all that ruin is one man. San SSS rank lightning assassin, the last human breathing on a dead planet. He's barely upright, leaning against a crumbling pillar, blood dripping, lungs burning. The last soldier of a war that was already over. Here's the thing though, this didn't happen overnight. It started 7 years ago when several demon kings just descended. No warning. No negotiations. Just raw, apocalyptic power dropping into the human world like it owned the place. And honestly, kind of did. No military on Earth could even slow them down. Leading that charge was Demon King Lenu. This guy didn't just have power, he had attitude about it. He and his kin swept through human territory like it was a formality, not a fight. And now, standing over the last surviving human, Lenu looks down at San with nothing but contempt. He mocks the title of humanity's last hope, calls the entire race fragile, pathetic trash. Classic villain speech, but the scary part is, he's not exactly wrong at this point. Lenu raises his hand, dark energy crackling between his claws, and tells San, or Ci-chan, as he calls him, that his only remaining purpose is to die. A sphere of concentrated red power builds up, and the air itself feels like it's screaming from the pressure. The Demon King demands the assassin become his food, his power. He wants to swallow the last spark of human resistance whole. Not today. San grits his teeth and digs deep, deeper than his exhausted, broken body should be able to go. He channels every last drop of mana he has left. And as he does, the faces come flooding back. His sister, his comrades, his master, all of them gone. All of them killed by these exact same monsters. That grief, that rage, it doesn't break him, fuels him. He doesn't care if this is the last thing he ever does. A blinding light erupts from his chest. He screams the name of his suicide move and ignites his own soul, and lightning tears across the sky like the heavens themselves are answering him. This is his SSS ultimate skill, Terminus Arkansas. A massive, devastating sphere of lightning explodes outward from his position and catches Lenu right in the epicenter. The Demon King, who was just monologuing about eating the last human, is suddenly paralyzed, pure shock written across his face. Not so smug now, huh? But this move has a price. San's body starts to fragment, glowing with intense white heat, dissolving piece by piece. He stares forward with this calm, hollow expression, the kind of look you only get when you've already made peace with not surviving. And then the memories come. His sister, bloodied and broken in the rain. His master, a fading silhouette lost somewhere in the dark corners of his mind. Then, just for a moment, something softer surfaces. His parents, his sister, all of them together back when they were still a family. A world that feels like it belonged to someone else entirely. With his last breath, he whispers that he'll see them soon. He regrets not being strong enough. He wishes just a little bit that he could have been more. His form keeps dissolving into the light. Somewhere in that fading consciousness, one thought lingers. If only he'd found the demon lair sooner. If only he'd stopped Wrath, the very first Demon King, before the gates ever opened. The weight of that failure is the last thing he feels. Then silence. The shards of his broken infinity necklace drift in the darkness. The light fades, and everything goes still. If you're enjoying the recap so far, smash that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow, and there's a lot more story to get through. Then, a single beam of light cuts through the dark. Not a battlefield, not rubble, a bed, a quiet room, a ceiling. San's eyes snap open. He's lying flat on his back, a small bandage across the bridge of his nose, hands resting on his stomach. He doesn't move. He just stares. For a long moment, he looks like a man who doesn't fully trust reality yet. And honestly, fair. He sits up slowly, touches his chest, feels his heartbeat, a heart that, by every right, should have stopped. He looks around. Small, sterile room. The sound of a busy world drifting in from the hallway. He walks to the window, leans against the frame. Still in a simple collared shirt, bandages on his arms, and looks outside. Students. A sunlit campus. People walking around like they have somewhere to be. The sign on the building reads, School Infirmary Hospital. No demons. No ruins. No fire. Just life. Normal, loud, completely intact life. It takes him a long moment at the mirror, staring at the bandage on his nose, before the truth finally crashes into him like a freight train. He hasn't just survived. He's gone back, 10 years into the past, back to his university days. And right on cue, because apparently the universe has a flair for timing. A high-pitched digital sound rings in his head. A system window flickers into existence right in front of him. It announces that the integration for the power of gluttony is complete. He grabs the phone off the nearby table. The date reads, May 16, 2157, exactly 10 years before the day he died. He's back. 3 years before the Demon Kings ever descended. 3 years before a demon named Wrath tore open the gates of hell and let everything else pour through. 3 years before the apocalypse even started. His hands are trembling, open, shaking, caught somewhere between shock and something that might actually be hope. Because if he's really here, if this is real, then he can stop it. He can find Wrath before the descent. He can close those gates before they ever open. He can change everything. A digital notification floats in front of him again, confirming the integration is complete. The interface hums with energy. Sun stares at it, trying to make sense of what this power of gluttony even is, because it's been tailing him since the moment he woke up, and it's clearly not going anywhere. He reaches out, hovering his palm beneath the glowing interface. It expands, and suddenly there's a wall of data in front of him. Stats, windows, numbers, the whole thing. Level 1. Strength, speed, spirit, all balanced at 100. It looks like a video game character sheet, and he's staring at it like he's never seen anything like it in his life. Which, to be fair, he hasn't. In all his years of fighting demons, he survived purely on his awakened power. No system. No interfase. Just raw skill and suffering. He knows how rare awakeners actually are. Only 1 in 10,000 people ever make it. The school he's at, the National Awakener University, only recruits those with real potential. It's elite. High stakes. The kind of place that determines your entire future. And in his original timeline, he failed to awaken here. Spent 4 years at the absolute bottom. Bullied, beaten, overlooked. Not exactly a highlight reel. So yeah, waking up in the infirmary with a mysterious system attached to his soul is already an upgrade. He scans the interface more carefully and something stops him cold. An archive file. Lightning Assassin class. Skills listed. Lightning God. Lightning Blade. Abilities that use electricity to paralyze and destroy. His abilities. His class. From his previous life. This is not a coincidence. A surge of power moves through his body, way more than someone his current age should have. And just when he thinks it can't get more interesting, a second-class card appears in the interface. The Devourer. He decides to test it. The interface flashes a switching class message. He snaps his fingers to confirm, and the system lets out a sharp digital hum. The door flies open. A student with glasses bursts in, looking completely frantic. This is Malong Rank E, Flower Chanter, and Sun's university roommate. He rushes over, relieved and panicked at the same time, asking if his buddy is okay after the beating he took yesterday. Sun blinks. He's the only one who can see the glowing interface hovering between them. He tells Malong he's fine. Malong does not accept this answer. He stares at Sun like he just watched him regrow a limb, because the injuries from yesterday's beating? Gone. Completely healed. Malong is baffled. And Sun just smiles. Because seeing Malong alive, this anxious, low-ranked guy who died just 3 days after the Demon Kings arrived in the original timeline, is one of the most surreal things he's experienced today. And today has been a lot. Malong snaps him back to reality. Tomorrow is the rank test, the graduation evaluation. He grabs Sun and drags him toward the door, because ready or not, the world keeps moving. The sun sets over the National Awakener University. Students are scattered across campus, chatting, practicing minor abilities, living their completely normal lives. On the training field, someone kicks a ball so hard it generates a shockwave. People laugh. It's lively. It's warm. It's everything the future he came from wasn't. Sun walks through it all and quietly admits to himself. It's been a very long time since he's seen this many living people. Malong shoots him a deeply concerned look. But Sun barely registers it. Because underneath the calm, the cold resolve is already setting in. He knows what's coming. He knows what happens if he does nothing. And he is not going through that again. He has to move fast, level up faster. The clock is already running. So here's the situation. Sen is back in the past, carrying the memories of apocalypse nobody else knows is coming, and he has exactly 3 years to get strong enough to stop it. Simple enough, right? Except there's a problem nobody talks about enough in these kinds of stories. Getting stronger isn't just about willpower. In this world, there's only one proven way for an awakener to level up. You have to hunt monsters inside the demon layers. That's it. That's the whole system. And almost every single demon layer in existence, monopolized by major guilds, locked up tight. Outsiders don't get in, and without access they don't grow. It's a rigged game, and the people at the bottom know it. Sen stares at his glowing system screen, his stats, his attributes, all sitting at level 1, and quietly wonders where he actually stands. Because yeah, he has memories of being an SSS rank assassin, but this body is starting from scratch. How does the current him measure up against the monsters he's about to face? Against the other students at this school? The government has a ranking system in place to keep track of all of it. Awakeners and monsters are both classified on the same hierarchy. S at the top, then A, B, C, D, and E at the bottom. And the hard truth? The vast majority of students at this university never make it past E rank. Only genuine prodigies or kids with powerful guild connections ever see D rank. The system basically filters out everyone who wasn't already winning. Sen walks, thinking through his options, glancing over at Ma Long. And then, without any warning whatsoever, a soccer ball absolutely launches through the air and caves directly into Ma Long's face. Not a graze, not a glancing blow, a full, sickening thud straight to the nose. Ma Long hits the ground, glasses shattered, blood everywhere, groaning like a man questioning every decision that led him to this moment. Which honestly, same. Laughter from the nearby stairs. A group of students watching from above, clearly responsible, clearly not sorry about it. One of them shouts down, calling out Sen and Ma Long by name like they're old friends. They're not. The one in front is Gongchen. Buzzcut, built like a wall, dog tags around his neck. He's leaning back with this smug, self-satisfied grin, saying the two of them recovered surprisingly fast. Ma Long looks up from the ground, and the color drains from what's left of his face. He recognizes exactly who this is, and the terror is immediate. Gongchen's voice drops into that sharp, demanding tone bullies love to use. He wants to know why they didn't bring him drinks when they knew he'd be out here playing ball. That's the level we're working with here. This guy is extorting beverages. Ma Long starts apologizing instantly, voice shaking, offering to run and buy the drinks right now. Anything to make this stop. Classic survival mode. You can't even blame him for it. But Sen steps forward. He looks Gongchen dead in the eye, and quietly tells Ma Long that he's not the one who should be apologizing. Now, before we watch this go sideways, let's rewind just a little, because this isn't the first time Sen has dealt with Gongchen. Not even close. His red eyes start to glow, and the memories surface whether he wants them to or not. A school bathroom, muffled sounds, water, bubbles rising as Sen struggles to breathe. Because Gongchen and his friends have his head shoved into a sink and are holding it there. Ma Long is on the floor nearby, begging them to stop, completely powerless to do anything but watch. Gongchen's response? He laughs, says he's helping Sen awaken his powers, calls him a failure for not awakening yet despite all this stimulation, then pushes his head down deeper. The group cracks up. Absolute control over someone weaker than them. That's the only game they know how to play. Eventually they get bored and leave. Just walk out, no remorse, already joking about something else. And Ma Long rushes over to find Sen lying on the wet bathroom floor, gasping, soaked, face hidden in shadow. Sen whispers something that sticks. He asks why people like this never know when to stop. Why the same malice that exists in demon layers exists just as comfortably in the human world they're supposedly trying to protect. It's a heavy thought. And honestly, it hits different when you think about it. He survived demons for 7 years, and regular humans were doing this to him the whole time too. That quiet question apparently struck a nerve, because Gongchen turned back around, eyes flashing green, with a smirk and a suggestion that they play a little more. And that is how Sen ended up in the infirmary to begin with. Back to the present. Gongchen stares down at Sen with this dull, disbelieving look, like he can't process the fact that someone he considers a nobody just told him to back off. Ma Long is sweating through his uniform, silently praying to every deity that will listen. Gongchen steps forward, and his arms begin to glow with a sickly green energy. His E-rank flower warrior ability activates. His limbs transform into rough, bark-like wood, crackling and thick. He's showing off for the crowd. The surrounding students start murmuring, already writing the ending in their heads. Low-rank awakener versus an unawakened nobody. This should be quick. Gong Chun looks down at Sin, towers over him, and asks him to repeat himself. Sin looks him straight in the eye. Don't come bother us again. That's it. Flat, calm, completely unbothered. Gong Chun snaps. He swings a massive, wood-armored fist directly at Sin's head. The kind of punch designed to end the conversation permanently and make a statement to everyone watching. A loud crack echoes across the courtyard. But it wasn't Sin's face that made that sound. Sin punched straight into the giant fist. Stopped it dead. No dodge, no block. He met it head-on with a counter that was operating on an entirely different level, and the impact sent a jolt of pain screaming through Gong Chen's arm, staggering him backward. The crowd goes completely silent. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. Because what they just watched was an unawakened student, a guy who supposedly has no power at all, block a direct hit from a ranked awakener like it was nothing. Like it was actually a little boring. Gong Chen's face twists into pure, ugly rage. He can't process it. His brain is rejecting the information. Sun raises his hand. A job switch notification flickers in the air, invisible to everyone around him, and he decides right now is as good a time as any to test out the new system on this particular loudmouth. Job switch. Complete. Lightning erupts across his skin. Yellow, crackling electricity dances along his arms and shoulders as his stats update in real time. He's a level 1 electric assassin now, and standing there, wrapped in arcs of lightning, he looks every bit like the SSS rank killer he used to be in a past life. Malong's jaw hits the floor, completely gone. His friend, the guy who allegedly hadn't awakened yet, is suddenly standing there like a walking thunderstorm. Gong Chun refuses to accept this. He activates his indestructible demon armor, wooden arms growing spikes, thickening into a heavy, defensive form, and charges forward with what he calls his killer jab. The armored fist is enormous. It dwarfs Sin completely. Sin doesn't flinch. He leans in, weaves through the punch with the fluid ease of someone who has fought actual demon kings, and drives his fist straight into Gong Chen's jaw. The sound of the impact is violent. The bully's defense shatters in an instant. Gong Chun goes airborne, blood spraying from his mouth, spiraling through the air with an expression that hasn't quite caught up to what just happened to him. The crowd watches in stunned silence. This is not the outcome anyone predicted. Gong Chun hits the ground hard, tumbling like a ragdoll, skidding across the courtyard, coming to a stop in a heap. The crowd goes completely silent. Not the excited silence of a fight. The stunned, disbelieving silence of people whose brains are refusing to process what their eyes just showed them. The school's most notorious bully, handled in a single exchange. By the guy everyone wrote off as the biggest nobody on campus. Malong can only stare, mouth open, sweat running down his face. His friend isn't just different. Whatever is standing in that courtyard right now is operating on a completely different level than anything he's seen before. Gong Chun is on the ground, clutching his broken face, and somehow he's still running his mouth, insisting it was a sneak attack, refusing to acknowledge that he was simply outclassed. He screams at his lackeys to stop standing there and do something, wants them destroyed for making him look like this in front of everyone. One of the lackeys opens his mouth, closes it, looks at Cien, closes it again. Nobody moves, because the pressure radiating off Cien right now is the kind that bypasses conscious thought and speaks directly to the part of the brain responsible for self-preservation. He stands in the center of the courtyard like a storm that hasn't decided where to land yet, eyes glowing gold, completely calm, looking at everyone around him like he's already calculated every possible outcome and found them all equally unimpressive. Gong Chun, because he apparently has not yet learned the single lesson this entire situation is trying to teach him, lunges again, screaming, putting everything he has left into one final desperate swing with the remaining arm. Cien catches it. Again, like it's nothing. The lightning dancing across his fingers begins eating through the wooden armor like it's paper. And then, with one controlled surge, he crushes the forearm. The sound of breaking wood and bone echoes across campus. Gong Chen's scream follows immediately after, raw and ugly, cutting through the silence. Cien looks at him with cold, glowing eyes and delivers the assessment plainly. He's just too weak. For a former SSS rank assassin who spent 7 years battling demon kings, this is barely a warm-up drill. He delivers the final blow, a lightning-charged punch that detonates against Gong Chen's chest like a miniature thunderclap. The shockwave tears outward, Gong Chun leaves the ground, body smoking, and doesn't stop until he's embedded in the bleachers. Slumped against cracked concrete, blood running down his face, coughing, completely finished. Sen stands in the center of the courtyard and looks faintly bored. Malong is on his knees nearby. Not dramatically, just because his legs stopped working somewhere in the middle of that. He's staring at the blood on Sen's knuckles with the expression of a man quietly reevaluating everything he thought he knew about his roommate. He finds himself wondering, when exactly did his friend become this? Sen pulls up his system window. Level 1. Stats flat at 100 across the board, and after that entire fight, they haven't moved an inch. No experience. No progress. He looks down at his hand, lightning still crackling in his palm, genuinely confused. In his past life, combat gave experience. That was the whole system. So why is nothing updating? Something about gaining power in this timeline is different. He hasn't figured it out yet, and that bothers him. Malong and the others are yelling at him to stop before things get worse. He ignores them, grabs a terrified Gong Chun by the throat, electricity arcing up his arm as he wonders out loud if experience works the same way here as it did before. His fist draws back, humming with voltage. Heels click against pavement. That's enough. A woman in a sharp blazer and black skirt approaches. Calm, composed, with a playful smile that makes it clear she's used to stepping into situations like this and making them smaller. Ling Yu, vice president of the student council, leans in slightly and tells Sen that Gong Chun has had enough. Gives him a wink. Promises the bully won't be bothering anyone after a beating like this. Sen stares at her with a flat, unreadable expression. Sets Gong Chun down. Walks away. But as he goes, his thoughts are already turning the problem over. Deterrence alone doesn't work on people who don't understand limits. If they aren't completely broken, they just regroup and come back. He files the thought away and keeps walking. Gong Chen's lackeys huddle in the corner, whispering about how terrifying his expression was. Not one of them makes eye contact as he passes. Ling Yu stays behind, watching Tsin's retreating back with purple eyes full of genuine curiosity. Whatever she came here expecting to see, this wasn't it. That night, the dormitory settles into an uneasy quiet. Inside their room, Malong is anything but quiet, practically vibrating off the walls, shouting to the others that Tsin has awakened, that the school gangs are going to think twice before targeting their dorm again, that everything is different now. Xiangzhua, undercut, bad attitude, permanent expression of someone who smells something unpleasant, pokes Malong in the forehead. Mocks the idea of a real awakener doing cardio in the rain. Very unimpressed. Xiang Yu doesn't even look up from his computer. Convinced Malong has finally snapped under the academic pressure. He conjures a small red orb in his hand. Their resident nucleus mage, deeply proud of his combat class, and reminds everyone that they're all in this bottom-tier dorm for a reason. In his view, for failures. One room, the system has spoken. He flexes slightly, mentions he might be getting strong enough for a decent guild placement soon, and reasserts that awakening more than one class is simply impossible for people at their level. Nobody in the room is aware that their quiet roommate currently holds 2 classes, an S-rank weapon, a mysterious system ability, and the memories of a man who spent 7 years fighting the apocalypse. Xiang Yu adds that the final rank test is tomorrow. That's when their actual worth gets measured. Across campus, a massive portal burns with yellow flame at the entrance of the E-rank training demon lair. A man in a white lab coat steps through. Gong Ting walks out of the training zone with his usual unreadable expression, Ling Yu falling into step behind him. He dismisses the training session for the day, and the other students bow as he passes. He slows, senses something in the shadows. Gong Chun is leaning against the wall, head wrapped in bandages, arms in worse shape, absolutely seething. He unloads the moment his brother makes eye contact. Can't stand the humiliation. Wants it handled. Wants Tsin made an example of. The rant goes on for a while. Gong Ting listens in silence. When it ends, his yellow eyes narrow. He gives one short, cold response. He'll handle it personally. Later, in a dining room that costs more per square meter than most students' entire futures. Candlelight, long table, the specific kind of quiet that old money buys. Gong Ting slices through a rare steak while Ling Yu sits across from him, elegantly framed in an ornate red chair. She asks casually what his plan is for this CI Chen situation. He doesn't answer immediately. He's still turning it over, trying to square the reports against what he knows. Ling Yu fills the silence. noting that he's already scouted virtually every high-ranking student in the school. With fewer than 10 D ranks in the entire student body, he's effectively monopolized the available talent. Most students, she points out, don't have the same access to high-level demon layers that he does. Without that access, they can't grow. They stay at the bottom, and the gap between them and the elite only gets wider. It's a system designed to keep certain people in place. And it works. Far from that dining room, on the school's running track in the middle of a heavy downpour, a lone figure moves through the dark, soaked, carrying 100 kilograms of weight, grinding out a 20-kilometer run like the rain is irrelevant and the weight is a suggestion. Sin doesn't break stride. His mind is running parallel to his body, working through the mechanics of awakening, the relationship between physical conditioning and class power, the way a body that isn't strong enough can never fully carry what's been placed inside it. He knows his current training isn't close to enough. Not for what's coming. Not even close. The memories surface without warning. The year 2160. A sky the color of a fresh wound. Massive writhing tentacles filling the horizon as Wrath emerges from the demon lair and begins its work. The slaughter that follows. And then, the memory he can never outrun, his sister. Lifeless. In his arms. Under a gray, rain-slicked sky. Killed by the Demon King's own hands. Back in the present. Sin's eyes burn with something that goes beyond anger. It's colder than that. More focused. He has one goal for this first stage, and it's carved into him with the permanence of something that survived death itself. A demonic star-marked eye stares back from the darkness of his memory. Wrath. That's the target. That's always been the target. And this time he'll be ready. The mission hasn't changed. Kill Wrath. Stop the descent. Rewrite the future. Sin does the math in his head. 3 years. That's all the runway he has before Demon King Wrath tears open the gates and sets the apocalypse in motion. 3 years to get strong enough to take down a being that leveled the entire human civilization last time. No pressure. His concentration breaks when his phone buzzes. He looks down at the screen and freezes. The caller ID shows a photo. A girl with pigtails, mid-laugh, the kind of smile you take for granted until it's gone. The name above it, Sean. His sister. His hands are already trembling slightly as he puts in his earpiece and answers. Her voice hits him like a wall. Energetic. Loud. Immediately complaining about how many times he called her today. Classic Sean. She launches into a story about some competition she entered. Excited about the prize money. Hoping it'll finally solve their rent situation. Sin stands completely still in the middle of the rain-soaked track and just listens. Doesn't say a word. Just absorbs the sound of her voice like it's something he thought he'd never hear again. Because he didn't. He watched her die. He carried that guilt across a decade of war and into the last moment of his life. Sean notices the silence and asks if it's raining on his end. Her voice is playful. Teasing. Totally unaware of what's happening on the other side of this phone call. A small, sad smile crosses Tsin's lips. Tears are already mixing with the rain on his face, and he barely gets the words out. Tells her it's nothing. Just needed to hear her voice. She promises to come see him as soon as the competition wraps up. Tells him to wait for good news, and hangs up. Tsin stands there in the rain, staring up at the sky. Something in him finally settles. Not peacefully, but with absolute, bone-deep conviction. He's really back. She's really alive. And he is not wasting this. He turns and starts running again. 3 more laps. 0 hesitation. 8 hours after returning to the past, Tsin finally makes it back to the dormitory. His roommates are already asleep. He showers in the quiet, hot water, steam filling the small bathroom, trying to get comfortable in a body that still feels foreign. Younger, less worn down, less scarred. It's a strange thing, being put back in a version of yourself you had to outgrow just to survive. He dries off, wraps himself in a dark robe, and sits on the edge of the bed. The problem in front of him is obvious. Leveling up in this era is controlled entirely by guilds. They own the demon layers. They gatekeep the monsters. A low-ranked student with no connections has essentially no way in. He stares at the ceiling, running through the angles, until sleep starts pulling him under. His last conscious thought is about the one thing that might change everything. The power of gluttony. And then the system wakes up. The screen fades to black. A loading bar appears in the void of his mind. Red letters. System booting. Filling slowly, deliberately. And then Tsin's consciousness is launched into a vibrant red digital space. His body tumbling through a sea of data and fracturing light. The gluttony system interface flashes in bold white, confirming what just happened. He's been pulled somewhere. Somewhere that is very much not his dormitory. He drops through the void and lands in a crouch, dark energy splashing up around his legs like liquid fire. A shockwave ripples through the thick crimson mist on the floor. He straightens up slowly and takes in the landscape. A colossal thorn-covered pillar rises from a sea of blood-red water, its peak disappearing into swirling purple clouds above. The horizon stretches out in every direction. Vast, dark, and distinctly not welcoming. Twisted, demonic carvings cover every surface. The whole place pulses with a heavy, oppressive energy. Sun looks around. His brow furrows. One moment he was in bed. Now he's standing in what appears to be someone's nightmare interior decorator's finest work. Back in the dorm, Malong wakes up, sees the empty bed, adjusts his glasses, and suggests to the room that Sun probably went out for another one of his intense morning runs. Sure, Malong. That's definitely what happened. Hey, quick break to say if you're enjoying the series, hit that like button and subscribe. More parts are coming, and you don't want to fall behind on this one. Something moves beneath the red waves. Two skeletal creatures drag themselves out of the water, pale and hollow-eyed, locking onto Tsin immediately. The system identifies them as deathhounds, E-rank, but moving with the kind of hunger that doesn't care about rankings. The system switches his class before he even has to ask. Lightning sparks and coils around his hands. Job switch complete. Level 1 Lightning Assassin, fully operational. The hounds lunge. And here's the thing, they're fast. But the lightning surging through Tsin's body makes him faster. He blurs into a streak of electricity, cuts through the air, and leaves nothing but a yellow trail and a dead hound behind him. A second one gets a fist to the skull, shatters clean. Loot notification pops up. He doesn't even slow down. It's a whirlwind of strikes and electric shocks, and not one of these monsters gets close enough to touch his clothes. For a man who spent 7 years fighting actual demon kings, E-rank fodder is basically a warm-up. The last hound drops. Golden light floods over him, level up. His stats jump 5 points across the board, and the rush of power returning to his body is almost intoxicating. He looks around at the bodies, at the vast red landscape still filled with more monsters in the distance, and the realization hits him like a sunrise. This place is a gold mine. Private dungeon. No guild ping. No competition. Just him, monsters, and unlimited experience points. He can farm this solo. The grin that spreads across his face is the first genuinely happy expression we've seen from this guy. And then the ground trembles. A massive shadow falls over him. An E-rank boss, the Death Forest King, announces itself with a roar that sends a visible shockwave across the red water. Sun doesn't flinch. He dodges, counters, chains hits with practiced precision, drains the boss's health like he's done this 1,000 times, because in another life he basically has. The boss goes down. Another golden level up flash. 3rd level in just a few minutes. The victory screen lights up. Fangs, crystals, progress. He checks his status window. Level 3. In minutes. At this rate, the word monster is going to apply to more than just the things he's fighting. He stands over the massive corpse, and then something new appears. A bright red tag hovers over the body. Devourable. Sun stares at it. He's never seen a prompt like this before. Not in this life, not in his last one. He reaches out slowly, and a strange pooling energy begins to glow in his palm. His eyes flaring with a deep, sinister red. He thinks back to everything he knows about the power of gluttony. A violent vortex of dark energy erupts from his hand. It latches onto the boss's corpse and starts tearing it apart from the inside. Pulling it apart piece by piece, condensing it down into a single pinpoint of light resting in his fist. When it's done, a blue hologram card materializes in front of him. The Death Forest King, reduced, contained, and usable. He can take the powers of his enemies, turn them into his own classes. His eyes go wide as he reads the card's full description. The ability it carries is beyond anything a normal human should possess. And then a memory. Demon King Lenu. The aura. The energy. The dark, consuming force that devoured everything in its path. It's identical. He stole it. Somehow, across death and time and a suicide attack that unmade his body, he carried the Demon King's ultimate power back with him and made it his own. In this world, every hunter is born with exactly one class. That's not a rule. It's a law of nature. Immutable. Absolute. Sen is now holding two. He looks out at the horizon where hordes of monsters are still waiting, endless and patient. The thought that settles over him isn't heroic. It's something colder and bigger than that. If he can devour them all, he can have everything. Every class. Every power. No limits. He looks up at the sky for just a moment, quietly wondering why something this terrifying chose him, and then turns back toward the massive demonic tower waiting at the center of it all. It stands there like a challenge with no words attached, daring him to walk through its gates. He barely takes a step before the pressure hits him. It's not pain. It's weight. A crushing, suffocating heaviness that drops over him like a physical thing, forcing his knees to bend slightly just to stay upright. His eyes flick upward, and the silhouette towering over him is enormous. He's sweating before it even moves. Whatever this is, it is not another E-rank warm-up. A figure emerges from a burst of purple flames. Tattered robes, impossible presence, dual blades at its side. It speaks first, tells him it's been waiting a long time for him. The system tries to identify it. The name comes back glitched, a chaotic mess of data that the interface itself can barely contain. Purgatory Rakshasa. A shockwave tears through the air and Sen is already moving. But it doesn't matter. He's sent tumbling back, blood hitting the red water beneath him, barely catching himself on one hand. He clenches his teeth. Lightning sparks around his fist. In his past life, he nearly died just to reach S-rank. Right now, he's hovering around D-rank at best. The Rakshasa stands calmly in the Red Sea, blades at its sides, watching him get up. His stats are so far above his that calling it a gap is generous. It's an abyss. But here's the most disturbing part. And yeah, it gets worse. They've already exchanged dozens of blows in the span of seconds, and every single one of the Rakshasa strikes has deliberately avoided his vitals. It's not losing. It's not even trying. It's toying with him, breaking his will, not his body. And somehow it already knows his name. The Rakshasa looks down at him with those cold, glowing blue eyes, and asks, almost casually, if he's still planning to struggle against the inevitable. Sen glares back, shirt torn, body covered in bruises, blood on the red water beneath him. And yeah, he's still planning to struggle. That's not even a question, because he's figured it out now. This thing doesn't want to kill him. It wants him to submit. And then it has the nerve to frame submission as an opportunity. Stay, guard the demonic tower, be its eternal prisoner. Says this like it's doing him a favor. Like rotting in a hellish dimension for the rest of his life is some kind of honor. Sen doesn't hesitate for half a second. Hard pass. He stands tall, a vertical line of purple energy crackling between them, and chooses the hard way, even if the hard way ends with him getting erased. That answer breaks the Rakshasa's patience completely. Dark, blood-like energy erupts from its form. Massive skeletal remains rise from the Red Sea around them, purple wisps of soul energy dancing through the air. Colossal boulders tear themselves out of the ground and hover in place behind the boss like ammunition. It looks like a god of destruction lining up to swat an insect. It gives him one final chance. Stay or be crushed into a pulp. Sen's eyes glow fierce yellow. Lightning dances across his skin. He chooses to kill it. He launches forward, a blur of electricity cutting through the crimson air. The Rakshasa sends the boulders and dark energy hurtling straight at him, and the collision consumes the entire area. But Sen doesn't slow down. He transforms into a streak of lightning and uses the floating boulders as stepping stones, bouncing off them to charge directly at the boss. Which is honestly one of the coolest things we've seen so far, and the fight just started. The Rakshasa raises its massive blade. Sen keeps his eyes locked on it, not panicking, analyzing. He's been watching every single movement since the moment the fight began. And now he's spotted something. Before every swing, there's a 4 to 10 ths of a second windup. That's the window. He predicts the blade's exact path, dodges by a hair's breadth, and the massive weapon crashes into the ground behind him. And then there it is, a 0.2 of a second recovery lag after every strike. The Rakshasa is momentarily wide open. That's all he needs. Lightning gathers in his palm. He drives his lightning blade forward. A focused burst of electricity aims straight for the boss's heart. He knows a D-rank can't kill an S-rank. That was never the plan. The strike connects. A paralyzed status icon flashes over the Rakshasa, and Sen is already moving. Lightning God activates. His body is infused with electricity, movement speed multiplied by 10. A few precious seconds of paralysis and he runs. He's been scanning the entire dimension during the fight. There's only one light source in the darkness. He sprints straight for it, hand outstretched, fingers almost grazing the glowing exit portal, and it vanishes, gone, just like that. He's suspended in midair, pure shock on his face, and the Rakshasa is already looming behind him again, purple energy flaring back to life. It tells him calmly that the exit was an illusion it planted, a test. And here's the wild part, it sounds impressed. It acknowledges that finding the flaws in its attacks that quickly is no small thing. Its glowing eyes carry something new in them now, interest. The Rakshasa looks at him and says he is the one who can finally bring hope to this void. Sin stares back, cold sweat breaking across his face, and recognition hits him like a freight train. That form, that aura, he's seen it before, on Demon King Lenu himself. Sin's mind races. The Purgatory Rakshasa's form is identical to one of the shapes Lenu took during the final war, and the memories come flooding back, the last battle of his previous life. A creature with glowing red eyes and frozen armor, an enormous white ice dragon blotting out the sky, a hulking, fire-wreathed golem leveling everything in its path, a twisted green entity made of toxic vines strangling the battlefield dry, and at the center of all of it, a figure of absolute power so bright the world itself seemed to dissolve. Lenu switched between all of those forms like changing clothes, and the Rakshasa standing in front of him right now carries that exact same aura. Not similar, identical. Clicks. This creature was devoured by Lenu's gluttony ability, absorbed, sealed away, and now that power lives inside Sin's own body, which means this entire hellish landscape, this Red Sea, this demonic tower, is all inside him. He barely gets the question out before Rakshasa grins. Its blue eyes gleam with something that looks almost like pride. It calls him worthy of the inheritance. And then, a golden-clawed key with a ruby gem materializes in the air between them. The system identifies it, SSS rank key of the void. The only key capable of opening the tower's gates. The Rakshasa explains. The tower holds the strongest demons Lenu ever devoured. Sealed inside, waiting for a master strong enough to claim them. Tells Sin to devour them. Use them as fuel. Grow stronger than anyone thought possible. Sin, wounded and exhausted, looks up and asks the obvious question. Why is it helping him? They were just trying to end each other 30 seconds ago. The answer is surprisingly human for a centuries-old demonic entity. Even among demons, there's a line between good and evil. The Demon King slaughtered its entire kin. Not in battle, not for survival. Purely to feed a bottomless, selfish greed. The Rakshasa's voice carries the weight of an eternity of hatred as it says it has been waiting a very long time for a chance at revenge. And then it says something that stops Sin cold. It tells him that that guy was right. Sin really is the only hope. That guy. Some unnamed, mysterious figure who apparently predicted all of this. Who knew Sin would end up here. Who sent the Rakshasa to wait. Sin has no idea who that could be. And neither do we. But that question is going to stick around for a while. The Rakshasa points toward the tower. All the answers are inside. He has to find them himself. And then, with the calm finality of someone who has been waiting centuries just for this moment, the Rakshasa's head begins to crumble into glowing fragments of light. It's offering itself. Voluntarily. Its last words come in pieces as it dissolves. Devour the demons inside the tower. Leave nothing behind. Endure what's coming. Conquer everything that stands in the way. And a final warning, delivered with its last breath. The demons sealed inside are the most cunning and vicious entities in existence. Far worse than anything he's faced so far. Which, given what he just went through, is genuinely terrifying to think about. The Rakshasa's form scatters completely. Purple sparks drifting into the dark sky until the last one fades. Sen stands alone in the center of the Red Sea, watching the silence settle back in. He reaches out and catches a single flickering purple flame in his palm. The devouring process begins. The loading bar fills. The notification flashes. Devouring level up. Sun reaches level 10. Golden light erupts around him. He's obtained Purgatory Rakshasa's underworld bone, and with it a full stat card materializes. New skills appear in floating text. Bone Grip Ruin. Triple Gravity Strike. The kind of abilities that make you glad you're watching and not fighting him. He stares at his palm. The weight of what just happened settling into his bones. He makes a quiet vow, to carry the Rakshas's will forward. To make their enemies pay. He means it. And then sunlight. A booming voice tears through the dormitory, demanding everyone out of bed immediately. Sun's eyes snap open. He's back. Bunk bed. quiet room, students scrambling to get ready around him. One moment he was standing alone in a blood-red dimension with the echoing last words of an ancient demon ringing in his ears. Now he's got a roommate throwing socks across the room trying to find his uniform. The contrast is almost funny. Almost. But his mind is already moving because today is rank test day. And this time around, things are going to go very differently. He pulls back his shirt and checks his chest. Every wound from the tower gone. Clean. Like none of it happened. Except the system window flickering in the corner of his vision tells a very different story. Level 10. Rare class cards still in his possession. Stats boosted across the board. Whatever happened in that dimension was very, very real. He stares at the numbers, quietly wondering how the school's official evaluation is going to handle what he's become overnight. He doesn't get long to think about it. A sharp voice cuts across the room. Xiangzhua, his other roommate, the arrogant one, the one with the predatory grin permanently attached to his face, starts in on him immediately. Apparently Tsen said something last night that's been living rent-free in Xiangzhua's head. He leans in with this wide, slightly unhinged expression and challenges Tsen to try and take his spot as top dog of the dorm. Tsen looks at him, flat, cold, completely unbothered. Xiangzhua is going to have a very bad day and he doesn't know it yet. On the way to the ceremony, Xiangzhua is already monologuing. He's munching on a snack, leading the group down the steps, reminding everyone that even among E-ranks the hierarchy is set in stone. He's mid-tier. The others are low-tier. The gap in his mind is basically the Grand Canyon. He scoffs at the idea of Tsen improving, lets out a cocky laugh, and jogs ahead to find a spot for the test. Malong leans over to Tsen and quietly encourages him to aim for D rank, just to really give their roommate a shock.
Tsen stays calm.
Eyes forward, already thinking 3 moves ahead. They join the crowd flooding toward the main evaluation grounds. The plaza packed with students, a giant blue screen overhead announcing the day's events. And near the entrance, a group is making a scene, shoving people out of the way, causing the usual chaos. Gong Chen's lackeys, pulling their standard routine. Xiangzhua spots them and his whole tough guy persona evaporates instantly. Just gone. He goes from strutting to shrinking in about half a second, which, honestly, is the most honest thing he's done all morning. Tsen walks past the group without even slowing down. The lackeys see him coming and the transformation is immediate. Sweating, trembling, and then, in front of the entire crowd, they drop into deep, respectful bows and shout a greeting to their big brother. Xiangzhua's jaw hits the floor. Malong and the others look like they're watching a nature documentary they weren't prepared for. The school's most notorious bullies are bowing to the guy they assumed was the weakest person in the dorm. The crowd around them buzzes with confusion. Tsen doesn't even acknowledge it. Just keeps walking. But the morning isn't done throwing things at him yet. Another voice cuts through the noise. Sharp, hostile, clearly looking for a reaction. A student council officer named Zhang Jian steps forward. Loud floral shirt. Smug smile. The kind of guy who rehearses his insults in the mirror. He brings up the incident from yesterday and makes it very clear he's here to put Tsen back in his place. The students nearby start whispering. Malong and Xiangzhua are visibly sweating. Zhang Jian is a D-rank powerhouse and his reputation precedes him. The air gets heavy. He gets right in Tsen's face. Says his sense of smell is sharp enough to detect real power from miles away. Big setup. Dramatic pause. And then the punchline. All he smells on Tsen is the sour stench of a permanent bottom feeder. Tsen looks him dead in the eye. Are you some kind of dog? The smug mask shatters. Zhang Jian's face goes red. And just as this is about to escalate into something ugly, a calm voice cuts through everything. Gong Ting, student council president, amber eyes, the kind of quiet authority that doesn't need to raise its voice, steps in. He states simply that he's already looked into the matter. Gong Chun was the one at fault. Those who do wrong face consequences. End of discussion. The crowd goes silent. Zhang Jian swallows whatever he was about to say. Gong Ting walks away without another word. And Tsen watches him go with an unreadable expression. Noted. That's someone worth paying attention to. Quick one. If you're enjoying the series, the like button's right there and it takes half a second. Subscribe too if you haven't, we're just getting to the good part. The announcer's voice booms across the plaza and the rank test officially begins. Students are called to the stage one by one, and the crowd settles into a tense, anticipatory silence. Up in a private observation room above the plaza, a woman named Ling Yu sips her tea while the principal, Yuan Long, asks if she's found anyone worth noticing yet. She smiles to herself and says nothing. But the look on her face suggests this year might be more interesting than anyone expected. An hour in, Xiang's name is called. He walks into the testing chamber. Dimly lit, blue glow, the air crackling with measuring energy. At the center hangs the demon heart. A grotesque, cable-laced biological mass designed to absorb and measure an awakener's raw power. It's as unsettling as it sounds. Xiang's shouts and releases everything he has into the thing. The cables hum. The heart processes. The screen outside updates. A-grade mid-tier. The crowd murmurs. And then the second column, potential, finalizes. Maximum potential. C rank. He walks out looking like someone told him his favorite food was discontinued. 2 years of hard work, and the ceiling the system assigned him is firmly, undeniably mediocre. Malong rushes over to console him, points out that none of them have hit D rank yet, so they're all basically in the same boat. Looking at the group's combined results, that's not exactly an exaggeration. E rank across the board. Low to mid-tiers. Mediocre potential scores. It's not a great summary. And then the mood in the plaza completely shifts. A female student emerges from the testing gate and the crowd erupts. D-grade low tier. B- rank potential. The first real talent of the year, and suddenly everyone is paying attention. The energy in the plaza jumps several degrees. Then Zhang Jian struts out, soaking up every second of the spotlight. D-grade low tier. A rank potential. The roommates watch from the crowd with expressions caught somewhere between envy and defeat. Up in the observation room, the examiners are already marveling at the sheer number of high-potential students showing up this year. One of them mutters that the graduation combat assessment is going to be a bloodbath worth watching. Honestly, accurate. Then the plaza goes quiet. Polished boots step onto the testing stage. Gong Ting adjusts his collar with the calm confidence of someone who's never once doubted himself. And the crowd loses it before he's even started. Students are whispering about guild lineage, about chosen ones, about school records that haven't been touched in years. Sun watches from the crowd, eyes sharp, taking in the man currently considered the strongest student in the school. Inside the chamber, the demon heart's single pale blue eye snaps open as Gong Ting steps in front of it. And for just a moment, in his own thoughts, Gong Ting reminds himself to hold back. Save the real power for later. Create the biggest impression when it actually counts. Even while sandbagging, what comes out is enough to make the examiners sweat. The screen finalizes. D-grade high tier. S-rank potential. The plaza erupts. Zhang Jian is screaming. Students are chanting. Malong's jaw has fully disconnected from his face. An S-rank potential. A talent level the school has never produced before. And the crowd is treating it like a national holiday. The examiners are already discussing whether to report this directly upstairs. Because a student with S-rank potential doesn't just belong to a school. They belong to the state. A national treasure, protected and fast-tracked from the moment the number appears on that screen. Gong Ting steps off the stage with a faint, knowing smirk. He heard his Imperial Guild lineage being mentioned from the observation deck above. He already knew how this would go. Up top, Yuan Long and Ling Yu look down at the buzzing plaza, noting the sheer number of exceptional talents surfacing this year. And somewhere in that crowd, a level 10 lightning assassin with 2 classes, a stolen demon king's power, an ancient demon's dying wish, and absolutely zero interest in being ranked at the bottom is quietly waiting for his name to be called. The plaza has no idea what's about to hit it. Up in the observation room, Yuan Long turns to Ling Yu with a smile buried somewhere in his gray beard. Asks if she already knew about Gong Ting's potential all along. Ling Yu gives him a cryptic smile back. She knew about Gong Ting, sure. But that's not why she came today. She leans closer to the glass, her gaze drifting past the cheering crowd, fixing on one specific figure standing quietly near the back.
Chen.
The guy nobody's paying attention to. She watches him and wonders, quietly to herself, just how much of a sensation his result is going to cause. The announcer's voice echoes across the plaza one final time. Last student of the day. Jichen. Zhang Jian doesn't miss the opportunity. He leans in with that smug grin and tells Tsun he'd better bring some actual honor back to the dorm for once. Demands he doesn't embarrass them all with another pathetic low E-rank result. Then breaks into a loud, mocking laugh, already picturing the scoreboard spitting out the lowest possible number and the whole plaza pointing and laughing. Tsun stands there and takes it, completely still, completely calm. His roommates, Xiangzhua, Xiangyu, Malong, hang their heads. The crowd around them whispers, "Weaklings." A disgrace to the graduation assessment. The usual. Malong finally snaps. Face flushed, he shouts back at the bullies. Tells them Tsin is about to blow everyone's eyes wide open. He's certain of it. Tsin, ignoring all of it, steps into the glowing portal of the testing booth. His name appears on the scoreboard outside. Blue. Empty. Waiting. Inside the chamber, it's all wires and cables feeding into a central core. A dark technological maze that most students never see from the inside. At the center of it pulses the demon heart. A grotesque, organic mass with a single eye that scans every new occupant the moment they step in. It looks less like a machine and more like something that was once alive and never fully stopped. The eye opens, fixes on Tsin. His eyes glow a quiet, piercing red. Now, while the machine is warming up, a quick note on what's actually at stake here, because this isn't just a school evaluation. In this era, guild recruitment is everything. An awakener without guild backing has no future, no access to demon layers, no way to level up, no career. The graduation combat assessment is the single moment most of these students have been working toward their entire university lives. Squads of up to 10 compete, and the top-placing squad gets directly recruited by the Imperial Guild, the absolute peak of the nation's power structure. Every member. No exceptions. So yeah, this test matters. Gong Ting is already standing with his assembled 10-man squad, 9 D-ranks and his brother Gong Chun included. They look completely untouchable and they know it. He's not just here to perform. He's here to scout the teammates who'll help him dominate the graduation assessment entirely. His squad crowds around him, calling him the guaranteed MVP. And honestly, from where everyone else is standing, that's not even a bold prediction. Meanwhile, the weakest teams hover at the edges, looking like they've already mentally tapped out. The strong huddle together. The weak get left behind. Cold law of survival, same as always. Back at the scoreboard, nothing. Tsin's column is still a blank blue void. No data. No rank. Nothing registering at all. Malong checks the time. Pushes his glasses up. Starts sweating. The remaining students notice the blank screen and start murmuring. The jokes start up immediately. Maybe Tsin's power is so pathetic the machine can't even find it. The crowd begins to disperse. Zhang Jian tells Gong Ting to forget about the trash still inside and suggests they head out for karaoke. Gong Ting closes his eyes, nods, and tells him to call the team together. And then, a loud static buzz rips through the air. The scoreboard flickers, violently, like the system is choking on something it wasn't built to handle. A bold D slams onto the screen. High rank. The plaza stops. Everyone who was halfway out the door turns back around. Malong's head snaps toward the board and he screams. Points at the screen like he's personally vindicated, which, to be fair, he is. He knew it. He said it. Vironk. Right there. Gong Ting and Zhang Jian whip around. Smug expressions completely gone. Replaced by something closer to confusion mixed with mild offense. A high D rank for that guy? Doesn't compute. Okay, if you're not subscribed yet, this is genuinely the worst possible moment to leave. Hit subscribe and keep watching. Like the video too while you're at it. Alright, back to the meltdown. Inside the booth, the wires start sparking. The system detects instability in the demon heart and requests a retest. It literally cannot handle the energy surge coming from inside. Tsin glances at his HUD. Level 10 base stats sitting at 150 across the board, and that's his unswitched form. That's him doing nothing. He reaches out his hand. Initiates a class switch. Blue sparks dance across his fingers as the loading bar fills. Transformation complete. The infernal Death King. Half his face disappears behind a spectral bone mask. Freezing energy radiates outward in waves. And outside, the scoreboard glitches again. The defracturing, struggling to hold its shape. Before the ranking climbs and locks onto a solid C mid-rank. The crowd loses it. A collective roar of disbelief erupts across the plaza. They're watching a rank jump in real time and none of them have the framework to process it. Gong Ting stares at the board, composure cracking for the first time all day. Next to him, Zhang Jian looks like he's reconsidering several recent life decisions. The professors and examiners are frantically checking their equipment. The machines are running hot. The demon heart's eye is wide and bulging, veins spreading across its surface, pulsing a deep, strained purple. System warnings are stacking up faster than anyone can read them. Tsin looks at the numbers and nods to himself. If his weakest class is already a C rank, his other two should be something else entirely. He initiates another switch. Dark, jagged energy floods his silhouette. The switch finalizes, the Purgatory Rakshasa class fully unlocked and active. His eyes burn cold blue. A detailed stat card materializes in his HUD max potential, skills like bone grip ruin and gravity manipulation listed out like a threat. The machine is not built for this. The demon heart central eye begins to pulse violently, veins bulging across every surface, the whole structure straining under the weight of what it's being asked to measure. And then it stops trying to contain it. A massive swirl of purple energy explodes from the core, spinning into a chaotic vortex that fills the entire testing booth. Dark clouds form. Lightning cracks through the air inside the building. The containment systems are failing in real time, and outside, the students look up and watch the sky inside the school hall go dark. Someone screams, asking what on earth is happening to the equipment. Malong and his roommates are completely frozen. Eyes wide, mouths open. This was supposed to be a standard school evaluation. This is not a standard school evaluation. Malong shouts that their dorm has produced a god-tier monster. And at this point, nobody is arguing with him. The scoreboard behind them glitches out completely. Fractures. Flickers through ranks it was never supposed to display, before a massive golden letter slams into view. S-rank potential. The head examiner screams into his headset. His staff look equally terrified. Gong Ting stares at the display. The student council president who just an hour ago was being called a once-in-a-generation talent. And his calm is gone. Completely. Because the machine has never reacted like this to anyone. Red warning boxes stack over the scoreboard. The system tries to calculate the rank and fails. The energy level has already bypassed the machine's upper limits. The display fractures into pixels. Error messages cascade faster than the staff can track. And then the final notification appears. Potential value, undetectable.